Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is the Bladedancer using Synchronized Strike and Shadow Cascade. This is going to be an updated video from my previous version. A lot of people were wanting updates since a couple of things got changed in the hotfix patch where we got 8C, and then also a lot of people wanted something else than Dancing Strike since I never used it, so I thought I'd throw in Decoy in this one. And then also a lot of people were wondering what my end game passives were going to be on my passive tree since my character wasn't fully fleshed out. And now that we've played it for a few weeks, we've gotten to level 100 on it. I can go ahead and show you where I put all of my passive points. I can change out Dancing Strikes to Decoy and show you which path I would take with that. And then I can just show you some gameplay of using this in endgame. And it turns out that even with the fixes so far to it, it's still very viable. It's still very fun. It might even be a little overtuned still, but it feels really good. And you can just kind of speed run through echoes because you're just constantly lunging forward with Synchronized Strike and Shift. And then in the arena, you have Decoy that decoys, and in boss fights in the mono. So this one is really good for not only doing echoes and for the monolith of fate and bosses, but in the arena as well, as it can easily push over 300 waves thanks to its massive amount of dodge and the fact that you're getting over 600 ward. You're getting anywhere from about 500 to 900 ward every time that you use Synchronized Strike, which you can do every couple of seconds. So it's very defensive. It's going to take you far in the arena as long as you know how to play. Obviously, you can't face tank things. It's a dodge type playstyle, being the rogue, as it's meant to, capitalize upon dodge and high damage. And it's also going to have Decoy now that's, going to give you a few seconds of coverage when you do feel like you're threatened. Alright, let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, we're running Shadow Cascade, Shift, Synchronized Strike, Decoy, and Smoke Bomb. For Shadow Cascade, we're never going to actually manually cast this. Synchronized Strike will cast it for us, but it'll still use the skill tree, and therefore we want to put into it. Shadow Cascade is very important because it's how we're going to maintain our mana. It's going to give us 12 mana back for every shadow that we consume when using Shadow Cascade, and that's very important. So we have this set up to give us that 12 mana, and so that we have maximum damage out of it. We have 4 points in Shadow Torrent so that we get 12% more damage per shadow, 1 point in Battle Trance for some dodge rating, 1 point in Crushing Darkness so that we gain 30% more damage. This allows the skill to no longer scale with attack speed, but since we're not manually casting it, it doesn't matter. 1 point in Flow State so that we get 15% more multiplicative damage per sword or dagger, and we're wearing one of each. 4 points in Rapid Expanse for some increased area. 2 points in Precision for that base critical strike chance. This will help you on your path to getting a 100% crit chance. 2 points in Carnage for that critical strike multiplier. 1 point in Gloomstalker, so there's a chance on kill with Shadow Cascade to create another shadow. 3 points in Fight in the Shadows so that you gain that 12 mana per shadow consumed, and 1 point in Onslaught so that a portion of Shadow's Cascade is refunded when used if you have at least one shadow, which will be every time. For Shift, we're using this to give ourselves a huge dodge boost for 1 second every time that we use it. We also have it set up so that we get the mana back for using it for the most part. It gives us haste after using, creates a shadow, and gives us more damage with our next skill. So it synergizes really well with shifting and then using Synchronized Strike to get more damage out of it. We have 4 points in Swift Recovery, so that we gain 16 mana when we use it. The cost of the skill is 12 mana, so you technically gain 4 mana for shifting. We have 1 point in Shadow Slip, so that we're invulnerable while shifting. That's a huge defensive plus. 5 points in Elusive, so that you gain 150 dodge rating for 1 second after shifting per point. We have 4 points in Velocity for 40% increased damage. 3 points in Momentum for a 1.5 second buff of haste after you've shifted. 1 point in Lasting Presence so that you create a shadow after shifting. 4 points in Velocity for that damage increase after shifting with your next skill. And 2 points in Head Trauma for 12% more damage with your next skill after you have shifted. For Synchronized Strike, this is going to be our main damaging skill. We have it set up with 1 point in Growing Darkness for increased area, 5 points in Foreshadowing, so that our shadows created within 4 seconds of using Synchronized Strike will deal 200% increased damage. We have 1 point in Dark Ally so that we now summon 4 shadows instead of 2. This will double the mana cost. 1 point in Dynamics for 10% mana efficiency to make it a little bit cheaper. 4 points in Coordinated Cuts for armor shred chance and effect, just so that we can unlock the Umbral Assassination, so that we now have Shadow Dagger on hit. With 4 points in Shadow Infusion, we now gain 60% area per shadow and 100 ward gained per shadow. Now, at the very bare minimum, you're going to have the 4 shadows from this skill, which means every time you use it, you'll gain 400 ward. At the maximum, since you can have 5 shadows plus 4, because this can exceed the maximum number of shadows, which means you can have a total of 9. If you have shadows from Shift, from Smoke Bomb, and from Decoy all at the same time and they stack up to 9, you can get 900 ward when using this skill. So you can get between 400 and 900 ward every time that you're using the skill. On average, you'll probably get around 600. And 1 point in Wave of Darkness, so it automatically uses your Shadow Cascade after you have used Synchronized Strike. We have 1 point in Shadow Fang for 8% more damage, and 1 point in Lethality for that base crit chance. If you are having problems hitting 100% crit, which I didn't seem to have any, and I don't even have added melee crit on my weapons, you can take out of the mana efficiency and put into it, and 1 point out of the shadow damage, or out of the shadow area for the ward. I like the ward gain, so I would take out of the shadow damage instead, and get that to max so that you're always critting, because critting is going to do way more damage with how much crit multiplier the Blade Master gets. For Decoy, we have this set up to give us a shadow, also to reflect damage, and then also when it's active, whatever your dodge rating is while it's active, which if you shift at any point while it's active, you'll max out at your 75% dodge. You're able to gain that as crit multiplier afterwards, which means your skills are going to do more damage for the next few seconds. We have 4 points in embedded spikes to reflect a percentage of damage that the decoy will take. 1 point in backup buddy, so you have an additional charge. 1 point in lasting presence, so that it lasts a little bit longer, but it lasts as much as the cooldown is going to be increased. 3 points in into the shadows, so that you have 150 flat dodge rating added while the decoy is active. 1 point in ambush, so that your critical strike multiplier will be increased for 4 seconds after the decoy has exploded, based on what your dodge rating was. Of course, this is a max of 75%, which you can get. 5 points in boom, so that it's a big final explosion with 100% increased area. 3 points in short fuse for some more final explosion damage. This reduces the duration by a lot, almost half. 1 point in Shrouded Core, so that you'll create a shadow when the decoy explodes. 1 point in Excessive Explosives, so that you have 15% more damage from all explosive sources. And then for Smoke Bomb, we're using this to create shadows and defensively. We have 5 points in Lingering Fume, so it lasts as long as possible. 1 point in Smoke Blades for a little bit more melee damage. 4 points in Umbral Assault, so that we create a shadow every second. This will definitely help with your mana generation. 1 point in Generosity, so the starting area is a little bigger. 1 point in Enfeeblement, so that we put Frailty on enemies every second. And 2 points in Moonlight Bomb, so that we gain 2 stacks of Silver Shrouds from the initial burst, and that will mean that you'll dodge the next attack and gain 200 ward the next time that you would have been hit. We have 1 point in Shrouded in Darkness, so that we gain a Dust Shroud each second for 2 seconds while we're in the smoke cloud. This will increase your glancing blow by 5% and your dodge rating by 50 for every stack that you have. With 4 points in rapid concealment, we now get that every half second, and you can have up to 8 stacks of it, which means you can get up to 40% glancing blow and 400 dodge rating just from standing inside a smoke bomb while it's active. And 1 point in shared concealment to give it to allies as well. This is not needed unless you're running ballistas or something else. This will give it to the decoy if you really want to give it to the decoy for whatever reason. So feel free to take this point out and put it somewhere else that you'd find more use, such as more frailty or more silver shroud stacks. For passives, we have 28 points in the base rogue class, with 8 points in Swift Assassin, 1 point in Guile, 5 points in Evasion, 5 points in agility, 1 point in twin blade, and 8 points in critical precision. We didn't go for too much damage. We didn't go for the glancing blow, even though this glancing blow and dodge rating is very useful. We went for more of the try and stay moving. So we take less damage while moving and get more dodge rating. And then we also get haste on hit chance. So whenever we do hits, there's a good chance we'll have haste. And we also get more damage per move speed that we have, so that haste is even more of a boost for us. We have 0 points in the marksman and 84 points in the master Bladedancer, with 8 points in Cloak of Shadows, 8 points in Pursuit, 5 points in Flow, 8 points in Once, 6 points in Sky Synthesis, 1 point in Rhythm, 5 points in Tempo, 5 points in Blood Dance, 1 point in Flash of Steel, 10 points in Weapons of Choice, 6 points in Suvan's Pact, 1 point in Perfection, 1 point in Confidence, 5 points in Exuberance, 5 points in Shadow Master, 4 points in Critical Eye, and 5 points in All In. For idols, the idols that we're wearing are ones that give you % damage increase per active shadow with Shadow Cascade. This will make the Shadow Cascade do more damage. We also gain ward when we create a shadow. There's some other suffixes that you can have. This is just one that we happen to find, and it seemed to be the most popular one that falls because we got a lot of them. For our items, we're not wearing any uniques. We are going sword and dagger. We have on our Desiccated Sword, 40% critical strike multiplier, added melee physical damage, chance to slow, and chance to chill. For our offhand dagger, we have the Majason dagger with critical strike multiplier, added melee physical damage, chance to apply frailty, and chance to shred armor. For our chest piece, we have the Crimson Guard for that increased physical damage, and we have Dex, Vite, increased damage of skills used by shadows, and increased damage per active shadow with Shadow Cascade. This is partially why Shadow Cascade hits so hard. You do not need tier 5 affixes for this to do well. Tier 1 affixes have a very high roll and will definitely get you started real easily, so definitely get that Dex and Vite, and then just put tier 1, tier 2 of the increased damage of skills with shadows and the Shadow Cascade per shadow, and you're definitely going to see a huge increase in your damage. We have the same things for the helm. Dex, Set Necrotic, increased damage of skills by shadows, and increased damage per active shadow with Shadow Cascade. We are wearing the Umbral Visage for that 30% critical strike multiplier that can roll up to 35%, so get it as high as you can. We're wearing a ruby amulet for our amulet, and we have that health added, and then on it we put critical strike multiplier, set physical, elemental resist, and added dodge. We have 2 silver rings on. The right ring has dex, increased critical strike chance, elemental resist, and health. The left hand has set necrotic, dex, added health, and added dodge. For our belt, we have the bronze belt. We have set physical, set necrotic, dodge rating, and hybrid health. For our gloves, we have the soul embraces that have an implicit of increased critical strike chance. For our fixes, we have dex, set fizz, added dodge, and elemental resist. For our boots, we have the Heoborean boots with set necrotic, dex, increased movement speed, and hybrid health. And then for our relic, we have the Radiant Crest for some more critical strike multiplier. For our fixes, we have critical strike multiplier, set physical, elemental resist, and health. For our character sheet, we are capped on all of our resistances. We have almost 1500 health. We're sitting at 46% dodge without anything going. That'll easily jump up. And very, very low armor, only 13% armor. Our damages are not too high, but our critical strike multiplier is sitting at just over 800%, and that is why we crit super, super hard. And again, your dodge will jump up. So like I said, if you throw a decoy out, and you shift while you have smoke bomb active. I didn't shift before it exploded, but you can see we gained 70% of our critical strike multiplier, and that's from the decoy, but you can get a little bit more if you shift while he's actually active. I tended to not do that. And there you go, 888% critical strike multiplier is what we have. Almost 900% critical strike multiplier, which is huge. Alright, for the skill rotation, how to play this, I like to have smoke bomb on autocast, so it's always going off, it's always creating shadows, and I can always count on those to be used to get my mana generation up. After that, you throw decoys whenever you need it. You never manually cast the Shadow Cascade, so really the only buttons you're going to use is shifting, Synchronized Strike, and Decoy. Now, one of the main questions I had is why is the area not very big on Synchronized Strike when you first use it? And it's because when you first use it, those aren't the shadows that are already created. These guys, created by Smoke Bomb, are already created, so their area using Shadow Cascade will be big. However, the 4 that you create with Synchronized Strike will not be big. So when I jump, you'll see their area was huge, but the 4 that I just made, these 4 that stayed, had a very small area. And not until you jump again will their area be bigger. So if I jump again, now their area is big, and they're the ones giving ward. And these 4 are the ones that are just giving you, the small area effect when you first use it. And that's all you'll do for the playstyle. You'll just keep jumping around, and you can keep your mana up, as you can see, even if we just keep jumping. If you do start to run low on mana, just let Smoke Bomb sit there for a second, get a couple more shadows, and then make sure you use them, and your mana will go right back up, no problem. Smoke Bomb definitely needs to be on autocaster. You need to use it very often because all of those shadows that it creates is 12 mana apiece for you, which means it not only pays for itself after just 2 shadows, but it's positive mana generation after that. Alright, let's go ahead and get into some more gameplay.